too, but I thought I should leave my phone there. You guys just want to talk about our basketball team. That's good.
Pac-12 play starting this week, right?
Yeah,
Excited?
I am. Yeah, concerned but excited, and be lying to you if I didn't tell you we were a little concerned about our lack of excellence on the road. And make no mistake about it, Mississippi State played the game really well and a lot better than we did. And so I talked about that being a dress rehearsal possibly for the Pac-12 type play, and the SEC we have great respect for, and I hope that's not a prelude to how it's going to go for us. But we're back here in our confines at PK Park, and hopefully we'll get off to a good start.
Did you realize things that obviously concern you, but any other things that were sort of exposed that you can say we can use that to get better?
The whole thing. The trip was difficult. We were disappointed that we didn't get to play in a tremendous venue at Alabama. It was a long trip to do that. We were prepared to do that. Probably the only the thing that was in our favor was that it was spring break. So had we been fortunate enough to play Alabama, and they have their version of the beer garden, the student section, and I guess it gets pretty crazy. A lot of the students were, Thursday night apparently was the last day of classes, so we might not have caught all that stuff coming from that particular part of the stadium. But our guys were looking forward to competing against another good SEC team, and then of course I described the Mississippi State environment because colleagues had told me. I never played there. I played at Alabama in their old park, that it was one of the top 5 probably in college baseball as far as environments, with their tailgating and rowdiness and so forth and so on. And because of the weather and because of being spring break, a lot of the fans were dressed up like empty chairs. So we didn't have to deal with that, and still probably caught ourselves trying too hard at times.
How do you feel with the leadership of this group to try to keep this thing from, turning into a losing streak?
Yeah, we found out the enemy is us, and we have a lot of areas of improvement. And the old quote, "If it is to be, is up to we," and not me or I. And we've got finals going on, so the last 2 days were guys working out on their own or wherever they could, and today will be a little bit of that going on. And so we've got some other challenges. It's a little hiccup in our normal routine, but I think we're anxious to get back together again and get back to work again. And even if we'd have come home with 3 victories, I think the objective would be the same. It just has a different sense of urgency right now.
Who are your leaders right now, and who do you expect to kind of make sure guys are mentally ready to go?
The guys that have been around the Packers, the Catalanos, the St. Louis, and Tim Cisneros emerged as a guy, an underclassman, a sophomore, as a guy that's gotten off to a good start. He's not driving in a whole bunch of runs, but his batting average is in the likes of what we think it should be, and he's catching awfully well, and he's helping the pitchers when they go astray, and so his leadership has been good. And I think Nagosic and Irvin and Crook, although he had a stinker of an outing there, and Peterson have shown great leadership, and that's the one thing that really got away from us that we were doing well was the starting pitching. And when you don't get good starting pitching and you're playing uphill, it's a little more difficult.
Susnara is a young guy, but he's so intense.
Yeah.
Despite his youth, can he be a guy who guys look to?
Yeah, he really has his finger on the pulse of personalities, which is good to have in your quarterback and catcher as a quarterback on a baseball team. And he pitched for us a little bit last year, so he understands that. We have a system where I get a lot of information from him. I trust him, and at times I let him call his own pitches because I believe in him, and I'm not so sure at the end of the day whether he might not call a better game than me. And he's really good at what he does, and he's a candidate to be on the collegiate national team. There's a reason for that. He's a very good player.
George, you made some lineup changes down there, it looked like. You
Yeah.
tried some different things. Does that carry over, or what'd you think of that?
Possibly, yeah. Where's the tipping point? We kept talking about some guys weren't doing as well as they could do, but we were 8-2 at that point. Now we've lost. Now we're 8-5. So are we putting too much pressure on the pitching and defense? And do we? That's going to be hit or miss. That's going to be an evaluation. We certainly haven't quit on the guys that we took out briefly. Goldfarb came out Saturday, went back in Sunday, and a real good day. Packard was out of the mix as a DH, and he's been one of our more consistent guys. And we gave Karaviotis an opportunity to DH because it was a left-handed pitcher. And so we're going to see how they practice. We're going to have some of our pitchers throw against our hitters and see how the quality of their at-bats. And it'd be accurate to say that we're searching for a little spark, for something that's going to maybe for that 2-out hit or that RBI hit. We're setting the table really well. Coach Waz is running the offense well. I think we're putting ourselves in position to have productive innings. We're just not, we're not eating at the table. We're not getting that productive hit, whether it's walks and hit batters or running deep counts and different things like that. We've had some opportunities. We just haven't broke it open, so to speak. So, and that's contagious. Athletics, shooting a basketball when it's good, going good is contagious. When it's not going good, it's contagious. We've got some negative contagious stuff going on. Hopefully we can get it turned the other way.
Do you have a common diagnosis of the problems at the plate? Is it patience? Is there anything?
Oh, I think it's a mixed bag. To say it's one thing or the other, that's whatever number of guys are taking at bats. I don't think they're all different reasons, but matching plan with pitch and discipline and. I think in simple terms, you'd like to be a little more aggressive with guys in scoring position, a little more patient to set the table, and that's not always meshing or aggressive with intelligence, I guess would be the best way to say it. I know one thing, they're trying hard. They're putting in the hours. They're capable. We're going to stay with them, and the main thing, that big C word, that confidence has to come from them. I mean, we can sugar pill it all we want and tell them they're really good, but until they walk up to that plate or walk up to the mound, because again, it's not just hitting, it's everything. Team walks out here and we have to get our confidence and mojo back or whatever it is, that if you could put that in a jar for any team, what makes teams hot in a basketball tournament? I don't know. If I had the answer to that, we'd all be gazillionaires.
Utah coming in, is a sense of a clean slate. I mean, Pac-12 is kind of your focus point all season long. Is there any sense of that going on?
Sure. Yeah. Well, I think maybe it's refreshing if you're limping into that and you say, well, this is another phase of our season. We're all 0-0. That's refreshing. If you're 13-0 and you go, coach says we're all 0-0, you kind of go, yeah, that's right. We're all 0-0. So at the end of conference will be another phase. Hopefully, we get to continue to play. Maybe a little trick I can play on them, the guys that have been scuffling offensively, is everybody's batting average is 0 in conference. Nobody's got more hits than them for 2016. And, so that's a little bit refreshing. Again, what are our objectives to compete to win? Whether it's I'm talking about stats here. It's about winning at bats, winning pitches, winning defensive efforts, winning baseball teams. I really don't care about stats. The stat I care about is that one I did, 8-2, and of course now they start counting these conference games. Each and every conference game becomes a little bit more important if you want to call yourselves Pac-12 champions. And a game that you give away possibly in March could affect the championship in May, and we experienced that one year. I think it was 12. We made a couple errors and lost a game we thought we should have not lost. And that ended up costing us a chance to call ourselves Pac-12 champions. So I don't want to put that scare in the guys, but it's true. They're all the same. There's 30 of them, and it's going to be a war. That's one thing I can guarantee you. Some teams are going into this a little hotter than others, but there's no real predicting. I think any one of 7 or 8 teams could probably be Pac-12 champions if they play up to their capabilities.
Your guys' weekend staff has been dominant this season. They're bound to have some bad outings, but they're a confident guy. Cole's a very confident guy. Are you confident in that they're veteran enough that one bad start doesn't knock their confidence going forward?
Well, I certainly hope so. We haven't lost confidence in them, and I know I talked about Crook, and it was tough conditions. The ball was slippery. It was raining. I was surprised we didn't handle that rain a little better but it wasn't our rain. It was a humid rain. It was like Alabama. It was like somebody was pouring water out of the sky And I went over to the coach and why aren't we playing? You know, it's like it was. I mean, it was a southern storm. When it started coming down, it was different than the Eugene rain. But we're like, hey, why are we banging this thing? This is like a summer day for us. It's 20 degrees warmer than what we play in. But anyway, so Crick didn't handle that well. He would be, and I'm not making excuses for him. He threw a side work yesterday, and it was outstanding. That's the best that he could do. After that happened, is what is he going to do to practice well and have a good bullpen? And he had a good bullpen. So I think I'm sure he can't wait for Saturday to come around.
Thoughts on Utah? They've had some struggles early.
Looks like they're like us, you know. They're although their team batting average is a little higher, they're not scoring a lot of runs, but they pitched well. I know their Friday guy Rose is a candidate for the Team USA, so we saw him last year. He's good, and Carroll's good, and they have a Sunday left-hander, and they've been pitching well in environments that are, you know, you open up in Surprise, Arizona, it's a more offensive environment than the Northwest. So what we would expect to be highly competitive games that are tight, and probably the 7th, 8th, and 9th are going to determine the winner, which happens a lot here at PK Park.
Bullpen hasn't gotten a lot of work. Starter's not going to go 7-8 innings all season. What are you looking from them? What are you telling them to really light a fire under them to get them ready?
Yeah, you know, Mercer's emerged as a guy that we trusted, although he had a bad inning there. Actually, an unlucky. We could have probably got an out for him that would have been critical, but it's a little inexperienced, our bullpen. That's probably my biggest concern, although very talented, you know. And one of the good news is Jack Carricker came back and threw a real good inning in Mississippi, and so he looks like he's back on track, and that'll add, because of him coming back from injury, he'll add some of the back end of the bullpen stuff. And Nogosek didn't figure in that series very much, unfortunately, because we weren't in every game. But, so, you know, I think those guys, although not tested significantly, I think their talent level is such that we're not afraid to run them out there.
You have plans for Carranza?
Yeah, he's arguably our 4th or 5th starter. He's one of the 2 or 3 guys that we would go to first in long relief, or even in short relief to get to bridge to get to Nogosek. So Isaiah's been very consistent for a young pitcher from September till now.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, guys.